Hello everyone, today I'm here to do another recent read. So you guys know I like doing these a ton. So today I'm going to talk about the first 3 books I read in February. And I know the month's almost over. I always forget how insanely short February is. Like, it's a good and bad thing because February is just so cold and miserable and bleak. So I'm happy that it goes by fast, but it's also kind of bad because I don't read nearly as many books as I usually do. So the 3 books I will be talking about today are The Running Wild by K.A. Tucker, The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave, and Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q. Santano. As always, there will be timestamps down below in the description in case you want to hear about one book in particular, but without further ado, let's get into it. So the first book, like I said, I want to talk about is The Running Wild by K.A. Tucker. This is her 3rd official book in her Wild series. If you don't know, the first 2 books focused on characters Calla and Jonah, mainly Calla, and the first book was kind of all about this girl named Calla that lived in Canada and didn't have a good relationship with her dad, but she decided to start to get to know him better because he is actually getting really sick. So she kind of goes to Alaska where he lives for a couple weeks to try to get to know him better. And there she kind of falls in love with Alaska and falls in love with a guy named Jonah, who is a pilot there because her dad owns this charter pilot company. And that's the whole kind of series, the first 2 books at least, is about Calla and Jonah's love story. So the 3rd book follows a completely different character named Marie. Now Marie was kind of our antagonist in the first 2 books. I don't think this is spoiling anything, she had been pining after Jonah for a while. She's been in love with him, and then Calla shows up and she's like, crap. And so basically, I'm sure you can surmise, Marie does not win. So this whole book is about Marie's journey to find love and herself. So Marie she's almost close to 40. I would say she's mid-30s, much like myself. I'm 33. I forget how old I am. But anyway, she really wants to find love. She was in love with Jonah for so long. And at the end of the day, she is very happy that Jonah found Calla, and she's happy for them, and she's moved on from it. She's not in love with him anymore, but she's in love with the idea of him. She wants a family. She wants kids. She wants to be settled down, but she doesn't, she hasn't found the right guy yet. She thought she met the right guy, but he was the right guy for someone else. So this whole book kind of follows Marie's journey with that. Marie is a veterinarian. Her dad was a veterinarian. She kind of has lived with her parents a lot. She lives in this kind of cabin near her parents' house. She kind of took over her dad's veterinarian place. So she's kind of always in her parents' shadow. She's never too far. She's never kind of explored things herself, but she is an amazing veterinarian, and she has a very big passion for animals. And with that, she has big passion for sled dogs. I don't know what the proper terminology is for this, but basically in Alaska, there are races. I want to say are they mushers? Is that the right word? I don't know, but there are sled races. I'm sure you've heard about it where, somebody will go on a week-long race, and they'll take their sled dogs, and these dogs were born for this. They love it. They have high endurance. They love running. They love doing these things. And she has been the veterinarian, one of the volunteer veterinarians for one of the biggest races, the Elnorod, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, for years. And she, basically her job is at every checkpoint to check the animals to make sure that the owners are not pushing these animals too hard, these dogs too hard, and making sure they're not abusing them. If one has a broken leg and the owner's like, you're going to keep running, she's like, no, she's there for the animals. So that's what she does. And in the middle of that, she meets Tyler, who has come from a different country. I think he came from Sweden, but he was originally from in the States, and basically he's really good. And they immediately have not a very good connection at first. She accuses him of hurting a dog, and he's like, how dare you, I treat my dogs amazingly. And kind of it's about their love story. Tyler has also been through a lot. I don't want to spoil it, but I will say there's trigger warnings of a death of a loved one in this one as well. But basically the whole book is about her and Tyler really having feelings for each other, but because of his circumstances, maybe it's not the best decision for them. And I have to say, I really enjoyed this book. I was not a big Marie fan. I think a lot of us weren't because we knew that she was kind of standing in the way between Jonah and Calla. She kept pining after Jonah when we're like, no, he's so clearly meant to be with Calla. And you really get to see her side of things, how she really, at first she was like, how could this woman just come in and sweep him off his feet? But the more time goes on, she's like, wow, they're really meant for each other. He's really in love. I need to move on. So you get to see that she was really grown up about the whole situation, and she was just in love with the idea of him and just wants that for herself. And so in this book, you're so clearly rooting for her and wanting to find her happy ending, wanting her to be happy and start a family and want those things for her. This book is, I would say the first two books definitely involve a lot about death with a loved one. This one's kind of not as much about that, even though it kind of is, but this one really focuses on Marie's feelings, also her really horrible relationship with her sisters. Her sisters are kind of horrible, one sister in particular. And it's just, I really enjoyed it. I was very surprised I enjoyed it. I didn't think I could love Marie at the end of this, but I did. I have really big hopes and passions for her and would read a whole book about her and Tyler again for sure. I loved reading about the whole mushing aspect, about learning about these dogs that do this and how they love to do it, but how you need to treat them with care and, have proper facilities for them. And like, if they don't want to run, they don't have to run. I really enjoyed learning about that because I knew nothing about it. So I give this book a 4 out of 5. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm very happy with it. I love this series. It's like my favorite book series in Alaska. It's made me fall in love with Alaska and want to visit. I really enjoyed it. Next up, we have one of the books I really wanted to read for my whole list of 22 books I want to read in 2022, backlist books, and that is The Last Thing He Told Me by Lord Dave. If you're not familiar, this is a mystery thriller book that actually won the Goodreads awards for best mystery thriller in 2021. So I was like, I had really high hopes for it. I was like, everyone loves this book. It won the award. It's got to be good. And it wasn't. I don't get how it won it. I really don't. I don't know how it's categorized as a mystery thriller, honestly. Like, the plot kind of sounds mystery thriller-esque, but when it gets down to the nitty-gritty of it, it does not read like a mystery thriller at all. So the fact that it won for best mystery thriller when there were so many other amazing books that were actually mystery thrillers in 2021 astounds me. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be mean about it, but I don't get it. So this whole book is about a character named Hannah. She is married to a guy named Owen, and she has a stepdaughter named Bailey, Owen's daughter, who is 16, and she's kind of had a very tumultuous relationship with Bailey. She wants, Bailey to accept her as her stepmom and things like that. And then one day, Owen just vanishes. He pieces out, he goes missing, nobody understands why. And the whole book is basically about Hannah and Bailey teaming up to try to figure out who Owen really is. Has he been lying to Hannah this whole time? Has he been keeping things from Bailey, his daughter? Is he really who he says he is? And you go into a whole spiel of figuring out his past, about what he did. And, it was kind of interesting. There were parts of it where I'm like, ooh, this could play out this way. And then it played out exactly how I thought it was going to play out. And it just wasn't that thrilling. It was, yes, it had a good mystery element to it, I would say, but it's mostly about Hannah and her relationship with Bailey and her trying to get Bailey to accept her because she loves Bailey so much and would do anything for Bailey. And she wants Bailey to see that. She wants Bailey to see that she's trying. So at the root of this, it is not a mystery thriller at all. It's more of a mother kind of stepmom, stepdaughter relationship, which is great. And I thought that aspect was great of it. I even liked the very end. I thought that was very kind of finite. I thought it was a good, we've come full circle. I enjoyed how it kind of ended, but the fact that it's marketed and won an award for a mystery thriller is beyond me because it does not read like that whatsoever. And it's just, I don't know. I actually, when I started reading this book, I was like, wait, I've read another book by this author. I think it was called The Good Husband or something. Again, it was kind of more a woman's fiction, literary fiction book. So I don't know. I don't know. The reviews are staggering on this book. Yes, it won it won this award for best thriller, but there's a lot of people that are having the same argument as me, and I think that's totally valid. So I don't know. Am I alone in this? Have you read this and had the same feelings as me? I think if it was marketed and pitched and even because if you go on Goodreads, the first category, because you know how it's kind of categorized, it says mystery/thriller. If it would actually say women's fiction, literary fiction, and then maybe a couple things down, then mystery thriller, I would be much more okay with that because that really shows what the book is about. But it's not very mysterious, like it's got that kind of mystery of him kind of disappearing and you figure out his past, but it's not thrilling at all. So I don't know. I gave it a 3 out of 5. Very disappointed by it. I had really high expectations because, again, like I keep saying repeatedly, that it won the award, and it just, I don't get it. I don't get it. Let's just move on. So the last book I want to talk about is another book I wanted to read in 2022 that came out in 2021, and that is Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q. Santano. This book has gotten recommended to me upon more than like any other book. Like if I ever talk about it in a video, people are like, you need to read it, you need to read it. It's going to be a fun time. And so I am so glad I read it because it was exactly that, a fun time. This is a book that you will really have to throw your expectations out the window of because there's so many really like unrealistic scenarios. But if you just want a fun time, this is a great book. So we have a character named Medi, and she has 4 aunts. She also is with her mom, and they're all Asian American aunts, and she's really close with them. She feels like her family has this curse where like the men kind of leave them, and then also the daughters kind of go away. So Medi's always been like, you know, I've got to stay close to my mom and aunts. They really, you know, respect me and they care for me, and I don't want to let them down. So it's all about her and her mom and her aunts and their relationship. And basically they have this wedding business, which is great because I'm a wedding photographer, even though it's been like so long since I've done a wedding. I kind of miss it. But basically they have a wedding business where one aunt does the cake, one aunt does the makeup, one aunt does the flowers, and the other aunt does the singing, and then Medi does the wedding photography, which I was very much appreciative of. And so they kind of have this big Asian wedding that's happening. I think the groom's name is like Tom something Cruise. But either way, it's a big wedding for them, and it's like off the island of California. And so they go there, and basically the night before, Medi goes on this date that her mom set up for her online. Like her mom set up this account for her, dating account for her, and she set up a date and she goes on it, and basically at the end of the date, her date ends up dead. I don't want to go too much into it. It just says, especially when it, unfortunately, a dead body provides to be a lot more challenging to dispose of than one might anticipate, especially when it is inadvertently shipped to a cake cooler in an over-the-top billionaire wedding that Medi, her ma, and her aunties are working at an island resort on the California coastline. So yeah, so basically there's a dead body, and her aunts and her kind of take care of it, and they have to ship it everywhere with them, and they learn more and things about this dead guy, and it's just like, it's so bizarre. Like you're just like, what? And they keep like every other like hour, they're like, well, we need to move the body here, and they're so nonchalant about it, and they're like trying to keep it from the police, and it's just so crazy. Like the whole scenario is like, what? Like it's just like, it, like there's so many times where like there were so many things happening, and I was like, what? Just so many instances. So like I said, you have to really suspend your disbeliefs with this book, like set your expectations at the window. It's just a fun time. It's definitely like a cozy mystery vibe to it. Also with the romance, because Medi has fallen in love, and then maybe something happened, and maybe there's a chance for a second chance romance. And it's just, I love the relationship between Medi and her mom and her aunts. It was just so heartwarming, so loving. They would do anything for each other because they're family. It's a book about family at its core, with, you know, a dash of murder, which is a very odd sentence to say, but that definitely encapsulates this book. But I gave it a 4 out of 5. I enjoyed it. I laughed several times. I thought it was funny. They even had kind of, I was waiting for it. It was like a Weekend at Bernie's situation at one point in this book, which if you haven't heard that movie, I don't know what to tell you, but it was a fun time. Again, there's going to be a sequel to this book that's coming out this year. I think actually next month, that I definitely want to check out. I think it's called 4 Weddings and an Auntie, and four aunties in a wedding or something like that. But either way, it was a fun time. Like, just, you know, just suspend your disbelief. Just go with the scenarios. Have a good time reading it, and you won't be disappointed whatsoever. Yeah, so there you have it. Those are my thoughts and feelings on 3 books. 2 I really enjoyed, and 1 I clearly really did not like. As more time goes on, I might bump the last thing he told me, I can't forget the title of it, down to 2 stars, because it just disappointed me that much. But yeah, that's gonna be about it for me. I would love to know if you've read any of these books, what your thoughts and feelings are on them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.